I think that the first 7 months of this year has been a precursor to what we're going to see happen over the course of these next few months. You know, what we have seen is the market digesting everything that we have been throwing at it. Not only the geopolitical concerns, but think about the fact that we've seen oil go down, and you've had the energy sector leading the way for the last couple of years. You know, on top of that, you've had this looming rate hike. I mean, the most widely anticipated rate hike, I think, in my career. And here's the real secret behind that rate hike. It doesn't matter. The Fed moving will not stop this bull. Bull markets are not stopped by Fed raising rates. They're stopped when the Fed stops raising rates. And that's one of the things that we need to keep in mind. Now, aside from all that, what we have been seeing is, and I've been saying this now time and time again, a spring that is winding up. That capital sitting on the sidelines. And if you notice what's been happening to treasuries, and my good friend Rick has been talking about it now for months, we have seen capital coming out of fixed income that needs to be redeployed. We will see stocks go higher.
Rick, let's talk about that rise in Treasury yields again today. The ADP jobs number was a little soft, but that ISM services sector number was the best in a decade. What'd you think of the market response today?
Well, listen, I think ADP was a very weak number, but yes, it was powerful on non-manufacturing for the July read. Headline and many of the metrics the best in 10 years. But my issue is this. I don't know how that's going to change tax policy. I don't know how that's going to change issues like lack of capital investment. See, there are headwinds that we normally look at the signals of such a strong non-manufacturing ISM and think that there's relationships there. But it was a good number. In terms of Mr. Powell today, Michael Jackson had his walk. Monty Python had their silly walk. Now we've seen a walk back by the Fed. This doesn't jive with what I saw with Lockhart or Bullard, and it really goes to the exact issue that Jonathan brought up. Listen, if it was all about data dependent, I'm sorry, I still contend this 6-month stretch of data has a lot of question marks. The issue is, are they going to tighten for some insurance against future flat lines? We're long in the tooth on the business cycle, but no matter what they do, I can at least simplify it in this regard. The markets are paying more attention. If I look at November and December Fed fund futures, forget all the percentages, they are at the lowest level, if they close here, since mid-June. So in terms of direction, the percentages of investors that are at least buying into they may tighten in September is moving up in the market's eyes.
Hey, Rick, what's the Fed got to do with taxes? What's the Fed got to do with regulation and overregulation?
Nothing.
What's the Fed got to do with any of that? You know,
right.
the Fed is doing what they can do best.
But their policy isn't accomplishing what the lack of Congress hasn't done. So the unintended consequences of their policy is not good.
They have to stay accommodative because, quite frankly, they're not getting anything out of D.C.
We have steady prices, and we have an employment picture that has improved if you forget the people that stopped looking for work. In my mind, their job was done. They should have raised a while ago. They're missing the boat, and the pier's looking awful far away.
Jonathan, one issue for a lot of investors is that they're kind of lost trying to figure out whether they should be continuing to pile into the high-yielding parts of the market that do well when the Fed's not really raising, or the parts that are cyclical and do better when the economy's improving, and they are. Do you see that tension beneath this market?
I do. I see that tension, and I see that questioning, talking to clients. The real issue is here, what do we do now with this money? Rick said there's been money sitting on the sideline waiting to come into this market. Where do we go with it? With the uncertainty with the Fed, unfortunately, the answer is you really can't move it just yet because we don't know exactly how this market is going to fully react to this major headline that we know is coming in September that we've been waiting for 18 months.